Hey, look, listen!
With a series that has as much history as The Legend of Zelda, it makes sense that the most recent game, Breath of the Wild, is packed full of nods to the rest of the series. Hi, I'm Adrian with the Leaderboard, and today we're checking out Breath of the Wild Easter eggs. Be warned, there are spoilers to follow, including for earlier games. Still here? Great. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. Old mottos. When you place a map marker down, you'll see a vertical ray of light denoting its position so you can see where the marker is on the horizon. The line is filled with Chica letters, and if you translate the symbols on the marker, using a fan-made Chica translation guide, they translate to part of the franchise's most iconic lines of all time. In the beginning of The Legend of Zelda, Link acquires his first weapon by entering a cave and speaking to an old man, who offers a wooden sword by saying, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." The map markers use the first part of the phrase, "It's dangerous to go alone," in their translation. Kind of a neat little hint you might not have picked up if you didn't speak Chica. The Old Man. Speaking of the Old Man, the cryptic character shows up again in Breath of the Wild, once again with a fire and again in a small cave. Just like in the original Zelda game, the Old Man is a character with a white beard and dressed in a brown cloak. Only this time he wears a hood. Link first encounters him on the Great Plateau sitting near a campfire. Throughout the early portions of the game, the Old Man guides Link on his quest. Spoiler alert though. Later on, Link learns that the Old Man is the spirit of King Roam Bosphorus Hyrule in disguise, who guided him so Link can save his daughter Zelda. Maybe you've heard of her? I don't know. The title of the series? I don't know. Legendary heroes. The names of locations in Breath of the Wild are most often strong references to the other games, and the Divine Beasts are no exception. The Divine Beasts in the game are all named after sages from previous games in the Zelda franchise. Vah Ruta takes over the Zora domain and is just one letter off from Ruto, like the Zora princess from Ocarina of Time. Princess Ruto was the heir of the Zora throne and was eventually revealed to be the Sage of Water. It's revealed in-game that Vah Naboris is named after Naburu, the Gerudo Sage of Spirit from Ocarina of Time. If you take Vah Rudania and rearrange the letters, you get Darunia, the leader of the Gorons in Ocarina of Time. In case you haven't caught on the trend by now, Darunia also happens to be the Sage of Fire. Last and certainly not least is Vah Medoh, who guards the Rito. Medoh is a little bit tricky since the Rito didn't exist in Ocarina of Time, so there's no direct correlation to a sage from that game. Medoh's name is based on Medli from Wind Waker. Wind Waker was the first game to introduce the Rito, and Medli eventually became the Sage of Earth. Since we're talking about places named after legendary heroes, we should also mention Tingle Island on the northeast coast of Hyrule. This of course is named after the most legendary Zelda character of all, Tingle. Legendary places. Breath of the Wild calls back to those that came before it in a slew of location names. There are references to just about every Zelda game ever made, often inspired by other places and a handful of eccentric characters. Looking at you, Tingle. In Breath of the Wild, they're all often changed by switching up letters or phonetic spellings, which makes them easy to miss if you aren't paying super close attention. Since we mentioned Tingle in our previous section, we have to say that the entire archipelago is actually named after Tingle and his brothers. Tingle, Ankle, Knuckle, and Dovdi Islands are named after Tingle, Ankle, Knuckle, and David Jr. The next one is another easy one. Mikau Lake and Lulu Lake are named after the characters Mikau and Lulu from Majora's Mask. It's simple enough. In case you forgot, Mikau is the Zora who gives you the Zora mask, while Lulu is the Zora whose eggs you retrieve. Next up, the Minchi Woods get their name from the race of people known as the Minish, the diminutive creatures featured in the Minish Cap. There's also Linebeck Island, named after the assistant who journeys with Link in Phantom Hourglass. Probably two of the most obscure locations are the Ludrum Headland and Bryna Plain. These two names refer to the Oracle games from the Game Boy Color. In Oracle of Seasons, Link traveled to the land of Holodrum, and in Oracle of Ages, he traveled to Labrina. All in all, there are over 65 names that are references to other Zelda games in some way, shape, or form. Did you find some? Let us know in the comments. Familiar location. When they aren't naming locations based on old characters, they're straight up including places from old games. One of the most notable references is that the Temple of Time from Ocarina of Time also appears in Breath of the Wild, under the same name with a similar structure. Additionally, the ranch ruins are incredibly similar to the Lon Lon Ranch from Ocarina of Time. Both ranches feature similarly placed furniture, a squared-off archway entrance, and a chimney-like brick structure sitting in almost the same spot in both maps. We know Breath of the Wild takes place many years after Ocarina of Time, or we assume so it's certainly possible that the ranch could have been ruined. Or maybe it's something deeper about how the ranch was no longer needed because Link and the other Hyrule residents learned to tame horses themselves. The economic struggles of the stable can serve as a cautionary tale for other businesses in the game. Cuckoos. Just like previous games in the series, Breath of the Wild is chock full of cuckoos. In a surprising new twist, if you hit a cuckoo, it may lay an egg. But just like always, if you hit a cuckoo too many times, the cuckoo will become enraged and call its flock. Then the horde of hens will attack Link by flying down from various directions and eventually pecking him to death. Once attacked by a flock of cuckoos, there's no way to protect yourself unless you manage to flee from the vicinity. Cuckoos are present in a ton of places in Breath of the Wild, but this time the birds can also be used to your advantage. If you manage to get an enemy to attack a cuckoo, you can sit back and relax as the birds rain rain down on the enemy until they're defeated. So if your sword is about to break or you find yourself short on arrows, just throw a Kuko at the nearest Hinox, Guardian, Moblin, or Lionel. Before you go and try it, I feel obligated to tell you that unfortunately you can't use a Kuko in your final fight with Ganon. Sorry. The producer. The monks and shrines of Breath of the Wild have some unique names, but there's one in particular that sticks out, Oman Ao. It's one of the earliest shrines in the game and the shrine you get Magnesis in, so it must hold some significance. If you rearrange the letters of the monk's name, you get Aonuma. This is a blatant reference to Eiji Aonuma, the renowned video game designer, director, and producer at Nintendo and current series producer and manager of the Legend of Zelda series. Aonuma has been working on the franchise since Ocarina of Time and even directed The Wind Waker. As evidenced in the game's other Easter eggs, names are super important in the franchise, and Oman Ao's is no different. Zora symbols. If you look at Mipha, you'll see that on the side of her head she has a piece of jewelry with 3 half circles facing out and away from each other. You'll probably recognize the outline from The Wind Waker since it can be seen on Medli's clothing. However, the shape goes even further back. The design actually comes from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, where it's known as the Zora's Sapphire, one of the 3 spiritual stones Link must collect in order to open the Door of Time in the Temple of Time. Since then, it's become more of a general symbol for the goddess of Nehru herself, as well as the Zora. It can also be seen on Nehru's pearl in The Wind Waker. The goddesses of Hyrule. Any true Zelda fan knows that Hyrule was created by 3 goddesses, Din, Farore, and Nehru. After the 3 golden goddesses created the world, they left the Triforce in the hands of another goddess, Hylia. Hylia is everywhere in Breath of the Wild. She's the one you talk to whenever you go to the goddess statue. And it's heavily hinted at in Breath of the Wild that Hylia somehow resurrected herself after the events of Skyward Sword and is once again guarding Hyrule from malevolent forces. However, references for the goddesses Din, Farore, and Nehru are much more subtle throughout the game. Their 3 attributes, power, courage, and wisdom respectively, name 3 springs that you can find across Hyrule. On top of that, there are 3 roaming dragons in Hyrule, whose names Naedra, Dinral, and Farosh are meant to serve as a nod to the 3 golden goddesses, Nehru, Din, and Farore. As an extra bonus, if you manage to shoot a dragon with your bow, a scale will fall from the dragon. If you bring the scale to the respective spring, it'll reveal a hidden shrine. Music. In my opinion, the music in Breath of the Wild is top-notch, and the musical Easter eggs are really cool and subtle. As you enter and exit Hyrule Castle, you'll hear some seriously ominous notes from an organ. That's a nod to Ocarina of Time when Ganondorf turned up the scary factor and played the organ as Link reached the top of Hyrule Castle. If you listen carefully to the background music at the Horse God Fairy Fountain, you can hear Epona's song, the classic horse summoning song from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, playing alongside the Great Fairy song. The Song of Time from Ocarina of Time can be heard in Breath of the Wild's version of the Temple of Time. If you didn't notice, that's because the song is played at half the speed of the normal version of the song. And this is from our 107 Breath of the Wild facts if you haven't checked it out already. If you ride your horse during the daytime, you'll hear parts of the melody to Zelda's Lullaby, while riding your horse at night gives you the hero's theme. It's one of the more beautiful pieces in my opinion. DLC. Alright, so this section is gonna cover DLC packs for Breath of the Wild, so if you haven't played them and kinda just wanna keep your playthrough spoiler free, you can totally skip this section. Both of the DLC packs available for Breath of the Wild are chock full of references and Easter eggs. The first DLC pack, the Master Trials, has a ton of new armor that serves as nods to older Zelda games and characters. In the Master Trials pack, you can unlock Majora's Mask from the game of the same name, Midna's helmet from Twilight Princess, the Phantom armor from Phantom Hourglass, or Tingle's outfit. And trust me, there's nothing more spectacular than taking on Water Blight Ganon just as Tingle. The second DLC pack, the Champion's Ballad, features an Easter egg to another popular franchise that Link has appeared in, Mario Kart. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, after completing all of the new challenges in the DLC, players can unlock a new mount for Link, a high-tech motorcycle mount called the Master Cycle Zero. The bike is named after the Master Cycle from Mario Kart 8, which was available with Link via a DLC pack and is now included in the Switch's version, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The design of the Master Cycle Zero even seems to be inspired by the Master Cycle, just slightly changed to fit in more with the Ultra Beast from Breath of the Wild. Robin Williams. So this one isn't officially confirmed, but it feels a little too strange to be a coincidence. If you're thinking Robin Williams feels like a random actor for Nintendo to pay tribute to, he's not. Williams was an avid gamer and a huge Legend of Zelda fan. He loved the series so much that he even named his daughter Zelda and confirmed that she was named after the legendary princess. And if you're still not sold, Robin and Zelda Williams also starred in some Zelda advertisements together. Near the Foothill Stable, just south of Death Mountain, players can encounter a character named Dato, who bears a striking resemblance to Robin Williams. Take a look for yourself. In addition to Dato's resemblance to Williams, others speculate that Robbie from the Akala Tech Lab may also be a tribute to Williams, given his name and wacky personality. Fans seem split on who exactly is intended to be the tribute to Robin Williams, but whether it's Dato, Robbie, or both, including a subtle reference to the comedian in one of his favorite game series feels truly special and a great way to honor his memory. Satoru Iwata. And now comes the time where we must talk about the most beautiful Easter egg in the game, a touching tribute to the late Satoru Iwata. Iwata served as Nintendo's president president and CEO from 2002 until 2015. Under Iwata's direction, Nintendo developed the Nintendo DS and Wii consoles. Before he passed away, Iwata was involved in overseeing the development of Breath of the Wild as he had in the past with The Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and A Link Between Worlds. Needless to say, Iwata changed the company forever, and Nintendo wanted to make sure to properly honor him in Breath of the Wild. In the game, you can encounter a roaming adventurer named Botrick. It's no coincidence that Botrick has the same haircut and glasses as Iwata. After talking to Botrick, he encourages you to explore Satori Mountain, where he says the Lord of the Mountain appears to meet with and gather souls of animals. Satori is a Japanese Buddhist term for enlightenment, and is derived from the Japanese verb satoru, which means to know, and also happens to be a common name that Japanese parents give their sons. Upon officially discovering the Lord of the Mountain, the Hyrule Compendium states that the creature is also called Satori. In stating such, the Lord of the Mountain is directly tied to the name of the peak of the mountain he lords over itself, and thus Satoru Iwata by extension. With these Easter eggs, Nintendo gave us all a magnificently poignant and crystal clear analogy to the legacy Satoru Iwata left behind.
On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer. But in my heart, I am a gamer.
And there you have it. I'm Adrian, and that's our favorite Breath of the Wild Easter eggs. Which ones are your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to become part of the notification squad. And if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.